Very much. We want to get some perspective here from Matthew Horace, who's joining us now, a former ATF executive and senior vice president at FJC Security Services. So in that story we just ran, Matthew, CNN law enforcement analyst Cedric Alexander there said it is a tough time to be a police officer at this moment. Do you agree with that, and why?
Well, I think that it is for several reasons. Number one, as we talked about the other day, the optics of our lives have changed now, and we're under a lot of scrutiny for a variety of reasons. Social media makes things very instantaneous. Things that people once heard, they can now see. So officers' actions, when they're on that very critical patrol, are at as high of influence, and they're just being profiled. And if you look at the numbers show us very clearly that they're very consistent from 1980 to now, with an average of 63 officers who are killed by gunshot every year. So the numbers haven't changed, but the optics certainly have.
So I would assume that that anxiety they feel about work is certainly carried into that workplace. What are the conversations being had in police departments across the country right now? What is the biggest concern?
Well, I think you see it. I think you see it playing out every day, that a lot of departments, the officers are just feeling like no one cares about what they do. And I think another very interesting telling statistic here is if you look at the idea that nothing in terms of the numbers of officers that are killed in patrol. In patrol, you're at that level where you're dealing with people at their level, and we're still targets. We're targets when we're out there, we're visible, and that's where you have that violent interaction with people most often.
So what is hindering, a lot of people say part of the answer here is community, getting some sort of cohesive attitude between cops and between the community that they serve. How do you do that?
Well, I'd have to agree with my colleague and friend Cedric Alexander. As you're aware, I'm also a member of Noble, and we have to get to the point where we're all understanding each points of view, our points of view. It's very difficult to be a law enforcement officer, not only now, but it's always been difficult. When I went through the police academy, the first thing they tell you is two things. You will be sued, number one, and you have to go home at night, preserving your weapon and ensuring that you don't become a victim. So that hasn't changed in 30 and 40 years. But now we have to get to the point where the community understands our jobs and we understand community. I think a big way that we can get through to people is through these citizens academies, putting people in a position where they understand what law enforcement officers face day in and day out, and try to get to a place where we quiet the rhetoric down on both sides of the fence. Because I've never met a police officer that went to work saying, I want to kill someone today, but there are a lot of people out here that will target police. And fortunately, there are less people that would actually carry through with it than not, or the numbers would be a lot higher.
All right. Matthew Horace, really appreciate your voice in this. Thank you for being with us.
Great. Have a great day.
Thank you, sir. You too.